In this video, I'm going to talk about training. I think one of the most questions I get in the sport would be how much to train, how often to train, how much training between races. It's really simple. The birds need a lot less training and exercise than you think. Problem is the feeding. If you feed like me, you learn how to feed correctly, they don't need a lot of training. So now, let's go through my thought process on training. When you start training the birds, whether it's old birds or young birds, you don't want to push them too hard at the beginning. Let them build fitness. Start early enough, train them, rest them. I advocate if they fly an hour, give them a day off. Don't push them day after day, especially with the young birds. You want to take your time. Now with the old birds, because most of us are coming into the old bird season, they don't need a lot. It's mainly get the body weight right, train them adequately, build up some cardio fitness. The birds will be excellent. So for me, going into the old bird season, I usually maybe have 7 or 8 tosses before the first race with no loft flying. Now the reason I can do that is because of the body weight. They're eating, say, a 75% barley, 25% grain mix to keep their body weight right. And then as you'll see in my other videos, they're eating maybe 1 pick pot per 10 pigeons. One of those pick pots that they sell at Versalaga for the minerals per 10 pigeons, and I can keep the body weight right. Now, you train them, say you get them out to 40 or 50 miles, you didn't hurt them. They should be okay for the first race. After the first race, they're caught up. You don't have to train for months. I'm talking old birds. Once they race that first race, usually it's 100 miles. You're even. You're with everybody else. They fly 2 hours, they get a day off. Rest is so important with training. So with pigeons, for every 2 hours in the wing, it's 1 day of rest. They fly 100 miles, it's 1 day of rest. They fly 6 hours, 300 miles, it's 3 days of rest. 500 miles, at least 5 days of total rest. They don't leave the loft. Now, once the season starts, if you feed correctly, this is how much training they need. They need 2 flights per week between the races. Now, you have to feed them right. Most people overfeed. The reason they have to train so much is they're feeding so heavy. They're overfeeding the pigeons. So they're working them, they're burning up the road. My pigeons, and many across the world now because of my videos, they race on Saturday. They train, I say a 30-mile toss on Tuesday, no loft flying, might take them 35 minutes. They fly, I like them to fly an hour on Thursday. Usually it's about a 45-mile toss, and then they race again on Saturday. So during the week, they race Saturday, they rest, they train Tuesday, they train Thursday, they race again Saturday. No loft flying, they're fed perfectly. You can see in my other videos about feeding, and that's all they need. If you feed them correctly, you can do a lot of winning that. Now with the long distance races, my birds will race, say 500 miles, fly all day. They'll stay in the loft till the following Tuesday. They'll go they'll fly a 30-mile toss. Then they'll fly maybe a 45-mile toss on the day of shipping and go back to the 500. So in a 2-week period, 2 flights. One 30-mile flight and one maybe 45-mile flight. That's between 2 500-mile races. So in 2 weeks, 2 flights. And I've had pigeons, plenty of them, win the combine, come back, amazing performance 2 weeks later with 2 flights. So to get your arms around training, the reason you're training heavy is because you're overfeeding. The other reason you might have success with heavy training, tired pigeons, pigeons that want to get home and take their sneakers off early in the season, come out, break, go, and they're home. They just want to get home and in. They don't have a lot of extra. They've been worked too hard. And usually those fanciers that have good results in the first few races have worked their pigeons really hard, and then they peter off at the end. No one remembers who won the first races. Everybody remembers who wins at the end of the season. So rest is important. Let them rest. But when they're resting, you have to feed them, say, the 75% barley. You can't rest pigeons on champion mix or all these heavy mixes, 16% protein like the grain companies want you to feed. You feed like that, they're going to blow out, and there's no chance you can get them back without a lot of work during the week. So with my pigeons, they race, they eat all they want of the champion mix, the energy, all the fat seeds. The day of return is the only day they eat rich feed. Then they go on to the mix, the barley mix, all the way through shipping day. Then they race again. This is for short distance. Long distance, I'll probably bring in fat seeds the day before shipping and the day of shipping. Sometimes not. If the body weight is perfect, I may not even bring in fat seeds. But, I get a little freakish with the body weight. I don't necessarily recommend that. But if I feel those birds are perfect weight, I'm not worried about loading fat, even for the distance races. So you can do a lot of winning if you feed correctly with 2 training tosses per week and a race. Now, the birds that don't race, if you have some of them stay home, if possible, it's best to train them on the day. If you can't do it, that's fine. Just separate them out. Don't let them eat the rich seeds when the race team comes home. Just give them the barley mix, and they'll be fine in the program the following week. So, training, they don't eat a lot. If you're training like crazy, you have to overfeed them. If you're overfeeding them, you have to train like crazy. This is my video 3 in the pigeon classroom. Put a comment down below on something you'd like me to do a video on. I'll do that. I'm going to keep rolling them out. This is Frank McLaughlin, McLaughlin Lofts. Like and subscribe if you got something out of this. Tell your friends. I appreciate it. I'm having fun doing it. Thank you.